It is no longer about winning Super Bowls with this team. Right now, it is about bringing people back. I don't think the Texans, from a business perspective, can afford to pass on drafting a quarterback with that first overall pick because nobody cares about them and nobody likes them, and the only way to draw people back is to draft Bryce Young first overall. That has nothing to do with his size, his skills, and whether or not he's going to succeed in the NFL. From a, hey, we need something to get people to care again, Bryce Young is the only decision this organization can make. And I'm very curious as to if Cal McNair is going to put pressure on Nick Caserio to do that. McNair has been rather hands-off when it comes to things like that. But this is no longer just about football. This is about relevance. This is about creating an entertaining product. From that perspective, selfishly, I don't give a damn what Caserio wants. I want a quarterback next year because I cannot do another season of this. I just can't. I need something to make me believe that there is a chance that this team will be playing meaningful football games again. So I'm not looking at this from a rational roster-building perspective. But you should also be looking at it from that perspective. And say the Texans do like Bryce Young but realize their limitations as a roster. Or maybe it's C.J. Stroud or something like that. Chris Landry, LandryFootball.com, who we had on yesterday, had this to say about the idea of just sitting back and waiting until the future to find a guy when your roster is not a good one.
You don't pass them up because, well, we're not good enough yet. We're going to wait. Wait for what? You ain't going to be around to draft the guys if you wait. You have to draft accordingly, and if you don't feel one of them is the right fit, or then you move on. But that's the way you determine it.
Now, hearing Landry there, Landry also said over the course of yesterday's interview, which you can check out on the Paul Gallant Show podcast, Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify, he said in that conversation that you also have to draft the best player available, and you can't force one of these quarterbacks to be your best player available. And I'm sure there will be some defensive linemen or wide receivers who maybe grade out higher than Bryce Young on their draft board. The odds of it being the quarterback at the top, not that high, I would imagine, because of Young's size and because of maybe questions you have about shorter quarterbacks. Zach Wilson's struggles of late, Baker Mayfield's struggles of late, Kyler Murray's struggles of late, Russell Wilson's struggles of late, even though he had a great start to his career. Like, there are some concerns about short quarterbacks, I think, right now that are well-founded, in addition to the fact that Young is slight of frame and maybe isn't going to hold up that well against getting crushed all the time. Lamar Jackson's not the biggest guy in the world either, but Lamar Jackson, for the most part, has been rather healthy, at least until, right now. So, anyway, those are factors that will be considered when the Texans do create their draft board. But say the Texans decide to go the Jeremy Branham approach. Okay, let's agree with where Branham's going for the sake of conversation. Is there an alternative option to bring in at quarterback right now that would actually be exciting? We're talking right now. I have it for you. Hey, do you guys remember this goofball? Houston area high school legend, Andrew Luck.
Good job, big boy. Little help. Ah, big strong man. Nice. Yeah. All right, nice play, buddy.
Andrew Luck and his delightfully ogreish voice always tickled me a bunch. Seems like a wonderful guy. Maybe there's some questions about, how he handled the end of his time in Indianapolis, retiring in the preseason as opposed to just retiring after the regular season was done. Did kind of screw the Colts over a little bit. Seth Wickersham put together a piece at ESPN about why Luck walked away. And I guess he went to Amsterdam after the 2017 season where he knew that he was going to need something done to his shoulder because it wasn't responding the way that he wanted to. He wanted it to. A therapist asked him this question: how much of your self-identity was tied to being a quarterback? A lot. A lot. And I didn't realize that until after the fact, said Andrew Luck, just like that. And this therapist asked him, aren't you more than just a quarterback? Luck, after this meeting, started thinking about life after football And when it came to the 2018 season, he wanted to return and play well for him. But that was it, per this article. And he wishes that he had said, I'm out, after they lost in the playoffs to Kansas City. And he came back with the intention of retiring after the preseason game where Adam Schefter, surprise, he's done this before, spoiled Luck's ability to actually retire on his own terms. So he ends up getting booed at the Colts Stadium for retiring in the middle of that game. But this goes a little bit further, and a question was asked of him by a kid at a high school that he visited, I guess, recently. And the kid asked, what's your biggest regret from your NFL career? And Luck cursed in his mind, writes the Wickersham piece, having hoped for a softball. Good question. I regret the timing of when I retired. I don't know why he sounds like an Urukai, but that's what Andrew Luck's voice is.
Also a little Alex Jones-ish.
Yeah.
It's like a garbled Alex Jones.
A garbled Alex Jones, yes. Some Ed Orgeron, a little bit there, but you don't hear it like, hey, it's me, Andrew Luck. Go Tigers. I have a flip phone. Andrew Luck is somebody who has, in the past, had his self-worth attached to being a quarterback. We're down bad. We're desperate, right? Is it possible to use that against him? And I know I'm talking about really toxic behavior right now, but say, I don't know, you saw Andrew Luck at the grocery store. You're in Indianapolis and you see him. He's taking a look at cabbage. It seems like that would be his favorite food. And as he's looking at that cabbage, you go up to him and say, not a football player anymore, huh? And just walk away. Just plant that seed of doubt. And then Andrew's like, well, my self-worth was being a football player. Maybe my self-worth still is being a football player. Do I miss football? You want to be toxic. Be toxic. That way you can get Andrew Luck back. Okay? And look, the Colts probably would want Andrew Luck back, but like, does he want to stay in Indianapolis after those fans booed him there? No. He doesn't want to stay there. Indianapolis is a dump. Like, who wants to live in that place? Oh, but all the convention areas are really close to each other. Everyone who says that is such a freaking nerd. Everyone who says that. And that's a lot of NFL media. And if any of you guys are listening right now, you guys are massive nerds for acting like Indianapolis is a good city. Let's have this combine there. How about literally anywhere else? Miami, Vegas, New Orleans, Houston, Dallas, because it's in February that we're talking about it, Los Angeles, Arizona. No, but let's do it in Indianapolis. You people are absolute nimrods thinking that that's a good place to go. Atlanta, Charlotte, somewhere warmer. Anyway, you could convince Andrew Luck to leave. Let's be toxic and trick Andrew Luck into thinking that he needs to play football again. You know, it might hurt his relationship with his wife and his kids. Who cares? We're down bad. And it's about us now. So it's just an idea. But if you have an unconventional idea to get a quarterback for the Texans without drafting one, let's play with Jeremy Branham here. What are your options? I want alternative suggestions for what the Texans could do at quarterback. Say they don't draft one with that first overall pick from the 3-4-6. An actually serious thought. I like this one. I don't know if Derek Carr is a free agent or not, but the Texans should pick him up if able, or trade a third rounder, especially if Brady goes to Vegas. Trade back the first pick up draft capital. I would gladly take Derek Carr. First off, he is way better than anything you have right now. Second, he's entertaining in press conferences because he's a little sensitive. And third, you could have a coming home video at NRG Stadium. Just imagine it, first day of the 2023 NFL season. You've got the Jay-Z, Puff Daddy, Puff Lion, Puff.
I don't know what you're trying to.
Who's the guy that sings the "I'm Coming Home" song?
Well, it's a woman that sings.
Well, she sings that part.
Yeah, I think that's a Diddy song.
Okay, is he Diddy now?
Yes.
Not P Diddy.
I mean, sure.
Why isn't he Puff Daddy anymore? Like, you get like
how old are you again?
33. I'm just asking the questions. Why has he changed his name like 6 times?
He's allowed to evolve as an artist, Paul.
How does that evolve you at all? You just change your name. What does that do? No,
It's easier-
now instead of Puff Daddy, now I'm Diddy.
It's easier to rhyme with Diddy than Puff Daddy.
Why not be Sean Combs? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with your name?
I don't know.
Like, you're going to listen to a song, hey, it's by Puff Daddy. Wow, he did a cover of The Police. Incredible. It's about a dead guy. Woohoo! Was that about Biggie Smalls? Notorious B.I.G.? Anyway, Paul Talks Music. Check out the podcast. To go back, hey, have a video with Derek Carr entering NRG Stadium. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. And it shows a young Derek Carr catching passes from Texans legend, first Texan ever, David Carr, on NRG Stadium Field. And then you just have a montage of Derek Carr with his weird twang that is either from Northern California or his time here in Houston growing up. You just have that on in the background. Just a couple of clips of him sounding super Texan. Nailed it. Derek Carr. I don't hate that idea, especially if all of those things happen where they have a montage video of him coming in.
They have to force him to wear number 8, just so we can all reuse the jerseys. Even
Well,
though
yeah.
I can't because I was like 5 years old, but still.
Listen, Clay Walker and number 8 for your quarterback. David Carr, Matt Schaub,
All the great ones.
Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Honor your
The two
brother's
best-
legacy.
The 2 best and the best hypothetical quarterback.
Carr would be the best quarterback in Texans history, based off of resume immediately.
Oh, yeah, Derek, yeah.
Yeah, Derek Carr would be. And he would overtake Watson by a little bit because Derek Carr has actually received MVP votes, which Watson never has. Anyway, other alternative options at quarterback. Todd the Show on Twitch suggests just bring in Case Keenum for a year. For a year? For life. Come on. Man, Keenum Mania was hilarious. He had a decent game against the Chiefs, his first game. That was the game where a bunch of Texans got kicked off the team because they were smoking like weed or something else, spice maybe. I'm not 100% sure what it was, Sean. You were making a face.
Well, no, when you said smoking something else, I was like, they're
No,
smoking
not crack. No, they're not smoking crack. To my knowledge, but it was like Sonic Sam Montgomery. It was like a 3rd-round pick, Sierra Wood, and I want to say it was Willie Jefferson, who actually showed some flashes as a player in the league, and it's a shame that it didn't work out for him. I thought Jefferson actually had the potential to be a good player, contributor in the league, but they all got kicked off the team, and Keenum comes in and he has a decent game. It wasn't great. But then the next game, he has this ridiculous first half against the Indianapolis Colts in Sunday Night Football. This is the game where Gary Kubiak has like a heart attack or stroke or whatever he did. And you're thinking to yourself there, oh my God, the Texans have something, and it's a Cougs legend. And the town lost its mind for like 2 years and was just completely irrational about all things Case Keenum. And I kind of want to bring that back. I miss it. I miss it now. Of course, if I was actually dealing with it on a daily basis, I would probably get sick of it pretty quickly.
Imagine the Davis Mills defenders, but like there's more of them and they're more aggressive about it because it's someone they have an attachment to.
At least Case Keenum has had any moment in the NFL. He had the year with the Vikings. He had those like brief moments against the Colts. He came back in relief duty the next season and for a team that finished with a winning record. Like the Mills people, I just don't get you. You're very strange. There was nothing to write home about. I watched some of those games down the stretch last year too. Like, oh wow, he's really special. Really? He was? Why? Because he was not terrible? Oh, wow, cool. But this is the option that you have. Alternative quarterback options. Since Jeremy Branham doesn't want us to go with the quarterback first overall, which I don't necessarily hate the take. I just don't think you can't afford to do it if you're the Texans right now. No one cares. I would like to care. I think a lot of other people would potentially like to care, but maybe you don't. And as someone suggested, maybe 4 games in, you're like, oh, wow, Bryce Young's actually not good. But you could still lie to yourself and say, like, hey, it's next year. Then it's the year after that.
I mean, Jets fans were lying to themselves about Zach Wilson until like 2
weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes, weeks ago.
Also, Zach Wilson, trade for him.
No.
What?
No. Absolutely not.
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance, I could be talked into
Okay.
Trey Lance.
These aren't that off the wall, but they're
Yeah.
kind of when you're not drafting a quarterback, I don't think you can roll back out here with Davis Mills and definitely not Kyle Allen.
How about Mac Jones? Yeah, I'm not feeling it with Mac Jones either.
The thing with Wilson, or less so with Wilson, but with Lance, is that there's some upside. Like there's some like, oh, maybe you can stumble into someone who's actually like really good. With Mac Jones, I feel like he's destined to top out at like Kirk Cousins.
Would you pull a Matt Schaub with Mike White? Mike White has some balls. I mean, I don't know if he's good, but he at the very least, like, he's ballsy.
If your plan is to draft a quarterback in 24 or 25, Mike White's not the worst option. Give him a year.
White's a much better short-term alternative than a lot of people out there. Heineke would have been a better short-term person as well in Washington.
Just let him walk.
Yeah. But, okay, fine. Maybe it's all about this, okay? It's not about next year, 2023. It's not about next year, 2024. It's not about the next year, 2025. It's not about the next year, 2026. It's not about the next year, 2027. It's not about the next year, 2028. It's about if I'm doing my math right, 29. Because that will be when a legend officially is eligible to be drafted. We don't know where he's going to college. Hell, we don't even know where he's going to high school, technically. We're talking about 8th grader. He is an 8th grader who just won the 7A state championship in Alabama with a victory over, I guess, Auburn's high school. Trent Seaborn. He just won the state title with a varsity high school team as an 8th grade quarterback. And it's not like he's a game manager. He threw for like 5 touchdowns in the state championship. Also, this is an 8th grader speaking. This kid is in 8th grade. He is actually a kid. He is far away from even being able to vote. Here is him talking about that state championship victory.
Well, first off, he obviously caught those touchdowns for me. And me and Corbin, I mean, we have a close relationship, I mean, throughout the whole season. And I kind of only met him this year, but throughout the year, we got closer and closer. You know, we would work out on the weekends. We would throw with each other. We would create that bond with each other. And I just thought that tonight he balled out. I mean, it's his last game. He deserves it.
Trent Seaborn. You hear him there? He's already popping off cliches.
I also like that he mentioned that he didn't know him and that this was his last game because he's playing varsity high school football.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, I didn't really know him. Well, yeah, he was a high school senior and you're in 8th grade.
Trent Seaborn plays for the Thompson Warriors. They won the Class 7A state championship. They, in the middle of the year, lost their 3-star quarterback, Zach Sims. So Seaborn took his place, and they went on a run. Imagine being that kid. You get injured, and an 8th grader steps in for you. And
he's Jason Street of this high school?
Yeah. I mean, a 3-star quarterback, that's pretty damn good. Seaborn, after taking over, completed, and again, it's high school numbers, but he's in 8th grade. 71% of his passes, that's pretty damn good, for 1,181 yards and 14 touchdowns. And in the state championship game, 12 of 14 for 207 yards and 5 touchdowns, which is a record. That is insane. So you got to wait until either 2029 or maybe 2030. But that's when it's all going to change for the Texans. It's just, do my math, it's 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029. At least 7 years. And you could build up your whole roster. You're probably thinking to yourself right now, well, Paul, like most NFL players' careers only last 3 years. And a first-round draft pick, you only get the 5th-year option for the contract. So literally, like, nothing matters right now. That's true. But think about it. You could have the first overall pick in 2030 and draft that guy. And to a degree, I'm not making fun of Jeremy's point. I'm just saying you can continue to wait for a quarterback. Eventually, you got to get one. And from an organizational perspective, you need one right now, just from a business perspective. But also, eventually you're going to need to shoot and get the guy in. You're really going to pass on Bryce Young in this year's draft? What happens if he goes elsewhere and he's good? Like, you're kind of screwed here. You kind of have to take Bryce Young. And, yeah, that might set you back a couple of years. But, honestly, this is an organization that's only drafted a first-round quarterback twice. It was Watson and David Carr. Okay, it's a coin flip. 50-50, they get it right. I would say for a first-round quarterback, it's about 50-50 that you get, like, someone decent. It's worth flipping the coin. Flipping the coin is a better alternative than what you have right now, which is an absolute dumpster fire.